Hey guys, our captain is back.
How's it going, everyone?
Today, I'm gonna start a new video series. I'm gonna rank the boards in every mainline Mario Party game. It may not be as amazing as Mario Kart, but Mario Party is still a franchise I genuinely love. So I thought it would be amazing to rank the boards, as there aren't that many Mario Party board ranking videos on YouTube. I could start with Super Mario Party Jamboree since it just came out, but one, I don't feel like making a video on the cheap just because I'll talk about a game that just came out, and two, Super Mario Party Jamboree might get DLC later, and I don't want my videos to age like milk. I prefer them to be exhaustive instead of having one separate video for the base game and another one for the DLC. So I instead rank the games in release order. That means we're starting with the first game in the series, Mario Party. Despite having some haters, this one is still pretty popular in the Mario Party franchise, with some fan favorite boards that most people love. Do the boards live up to the hype? And did they age well after 25 years? Let's find out by starting with the F tier boards.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
No alarms and no surprises here, Wario's Battle Canyon is the worst board in the first Mario Party game. This is the most hated board in the entire game, and for good reasons. First, it's an iron hopping board, which is almost a flaw in itself because it's easy to fall into a lot of traps when designing these kinds of boards. They can end up being a slog to play or being frustrating to navigate through, and that couldn't be truer for Wario's Battle Canyon. The four players are in a battlefield where the red bob-ombs and the black bob-ombs are having a war. One of them waits for the players on each of the four main irons on this board, and when you get near them, they tuck you into a cannon, sending you to an iron on the other side.
So, the Bob-ombs just drafted Mario and his friends to World War III.
In theory, since the irons aren't too big, this could make for an interesting board. But of course, you'd imagine that since it's the worst in the game, there's a catch. You never land on the same space when you get shot out of a cannon. There is a target sign that keeps changing spaces within frames, but there is no pattern, either that or it was too nonsensical to be understandable. Either way, the board ends up being luck-based because of it. One player can just land on the best spaces to continuously loop the iron in the spaces of one turn and get all the stars. Another one can get close to the star but press A at the wrong moment and get forced to loop the entire board once again to get a star. In the end, everything just boils down to luck because you have no control over the space you land when you're tucked in on a cannon. And when you're not being shot out of a cannon, you're just rolling the dice and going with the flow because there are no split paths on this board.
Oh, it's not so bad. After all, you can manipulate the situation with items.
That leads to another problem with Mario Party 1 that makes every board weaker. This game doesn't have any items. They were introduced in Mario Party 2. Because of this, all the boards become way more luck-based, which ends up making them either boring as heck or straight up infuriating. And Wario's Battle Canyon is the worst of both worlds, because everything, and I say everything, boils down to luck. There's only one instance when you get to choose a different path, but even that is not handled well. On the green iron, there's this flying shy guy. You can pay 10 coins to bring someone on his base, which is the only error on true strategy on this fucking board, or you can pay 10 coins to get on a smaller iron that is located at the center of this board. In theory, that could be interesting, but it's held back by one thing. Aside from a niche case where the star is located here, you have literally no reason to do this. First, there are only one player minigame spaces and a chance time on this island, which always represents a risk of losing coins or even stars. Then, instead of a bomb, Bowser waits you on his island. He will steal 20 of your coins, then send you on a completely random island with the same luck-based landing pattern, which is even worse since you can't control where you're gonna land. He just throws you on a random space. This board just has nothing going for it. Every time you play, there's always something frustrating that's just gonna screw you over while you can't do anything about it. and it's understandable how even Mario Party 1 enjoyers hate this board. I'll be happy to never play any board like this again. Oh, me.
Angel food cake? Ow! You parasite!
Wario's Battle Canyon may have been in last place, but believe it or not, Peach's birthday cake was really close to being even worse. This board is probably among the most luck-based ones in the whole Mario Party franchise. You have literally no choice but to go with the flow, as the whole board is just one path circling a giant cake. There is literally only one split path section, and the path you will take here isn't even up to your choice. In fact, it actually makes the board worse. Just before the star spot, Goomba awaits you. When you pass him, he will interrupt you to start his flower lottery. You give him 10 coins, then you have to choose a seed to pick between 4 of them. 3 of them are a Toad seed. If you pick one of them, you can go to the star spot, but one of them is a Bowser seed, and I don't understand how this gimmick got greenlighted. I genuinely believe that nobody play tested this board, because if you pick this Bowser seed, you have to make a detour to Bowser's cake. That's literally sadistic, because the flower lottery is located right before the star. And to make things worse, this detour ends with a Bowser zone. When you pass him, he'll steal 20 coins, and I gotta remind you that you already paid 10 coins to play the Goomba lottery. The worst thing about this gimmick isn't even that. After the detour, you have to pay 10 coins again to do the flower lottery, and you can still pick a Bowser seed. This is especially frustrating on short playthrough, because you may end up stuck on a Bowser's cake for the whole game, which is just way too unfair.
But at least with a bit of luck, you can still have a pretty fun game if you only pick good seeds.
Well, here comes another problem with this board, a problem that is pretty common among luck-based boards. When nothing frustrating happens, the board just becomes boring to play. This board only has the frustrating luck-based events like the flower lottery as a selling point. So when the events don't occur, the board just becomes really boring. Since you have no choice but to go with the flow, you're just rolling the dice and hoping for the best, as the original Mario Party game doesn't have any items that you could use to manipulate the situation. If Peach's birthday cake was in a game like Mario Party 3, Mario Party 6, heck, even Mario Party 9. Overall, Peach's birthday cake sucks. You'll either feel very frustrated by all the bad luck events that can occur, or just be so bored you'll fall asleep, because it's the epitome of what's bad in luck-based boards. At least we're done with the F tier boards. Now on to the D tier. Yoshi's Tropical Island is more laid back than the 2 boards I previously talked about. It's just 2 islands connected by bridges. Does it make this board good? I'm afraid not. Thankfully, it's not as stupid as Wario's Battle Canyon, nor as luck-based as Peach's birthday cake. It's just a pretty chill board. At least here, the main idea is kinda good. You have 2 islands. On one of them, Toad is waiting for the players to pass him so he can give them the star. On the other island, Bowser is waiting for the players to pass him so he can steal 20 coins from them, which is the price you have to pay to get the star. And when someone lands on an event space, Bowser and Toad will switch place. So yeah, at least the main idea can work. The problem is that it's held back by the lack of items. Once again, you can't manipulate anything, and you just end up once again going with the flow and hoping for the best. So in the end, this board suffers similar problems to Peach's birthday cake. Most of the time, it's just boring and nothing happens because the 4 players are just rolling the dice, especially since most of the time you'll just stay on the right island when it has the star, as you can also pass Boo here to steal coins or even a star. And when something happens to break out the pace, well, once again, it's just frustrating rather than fun or strategic. You'll probably want to smash your controller into a wall every time someone lands on an event space just before you can get to Toad and buy that star, forcing you to use your 20 coins to Bowser instead. This is completely luck-based and not fun at all, because you can't do anything to avoid this, and yet, This happened to me 3 times in a 20-turn match, and every time I couldn't do anything but huff some more hope, like maybe someone would land on the event space, maybe they might end here, and oh no, I lost coins. Talk about unfair. As a result, you just end up hoping someone lands or doesn't land on advanced space depending on who's on which island. This board has a neat premise, but without items to manipulate the situation, it just falls into the same trap as Peach's birthday cake by becoming so boring and yet so frustrating at the same time. Now onto the C tier boards. Hopefully they can fix this problem.
Because we're Star Fox.
Eternal Star is the final board of the game, and like most final boards in the Mario Party franchise, it's an unlockable one. You unlock it when you manage to accumulate a total of 100 stars earned in the main party mode. This is why I took so much time to finish this video. I just had to replay the boards over and over again until I got all those stars, and keep in mind that in general, if you play normally, you'd get 3 to 4 stars per game in light play. When I completed the 7 other boards, I didn't even have half the stars that were necessary to unlock it. And sadly, this board doesn't really live up to the hype. It's maybe unique. You're on a giant star that Bowser and his Koopa kids have torn apart, and to navigate through each piece of the star, you have to use teleporters. But there's a catch. The teleporters will never take you to the same place in every game. When you play on this board, the game will randomly select the pattern for the teleporters, meaning you can't even try to elaborate a strategy because most of the time it will become obsolete the next time you play because the game selected a totally different pattern from the last time that just ruins it. Then, the Bowser gimmick doesn't make it better. If someone passes him, which can be pretty easy since he's located at just after a teleporter, everyone's forced back to the start, and the pattern is changed again. As a result, you'll probably spend the first 10 turns going with the flow and hoping for the best, because the layout is too confusing for you to be able to strategize until you know which teleporters send you where. But it's not over yet. The way you can get the star is very different from the rest of the boards. 7 Koopa kids are scattered across the map. When you find one, you can pay him 20 coins, but he won't just give up the star yet. You'll instead play a game of dice, where you and the Koopa Kid will have to roll the highest score possible. The one who gets the higher score with the dice wins. If you win, you get the star, which is pretty likely because your dice is rigged to only roll up an 8, a 9, or a 10. However, if you lose while already having at least 1 star, not only you won't get the star you were trying to get, but the Koopa Kid will also steal a star from you.
Imagine how cursed a game on this board would be if Bowser Jr. was playable in the original Mario Party game.
Granted, the fact that you can lose a star on this board makes sense regarding how it's the final board, which means it should be a bit more punishing and difficult, but here it's just executed poorly. Most of the time, I don't want to bet because I'd rather not take the risk of losing a star and ending in last place. When I played a 20-turn match on this board, I got 3 stars, but I got 2 of them by stealing one from the opponent thanks to Boo. Still, everything is not necessarily terrible with this board. I really like how there's such a big amount of split paths on this board. When you finally understand the layout, you can actually start to be a bit more strategic. And the navigation was less confusing than it could have been an actually really good board that would have been compensated the lack of items with a lot of split paths to allow for more strategy. Sadly, as this, Eternal Star is very mid. The layout is way too confusing, and the fact that to get a star from the Koopa Kids, you have to take the risk to lose one is also too punishing. I would actually like to see it come back, because if they add a good item system and a less confusing layout, they can really give a massive glow up to this board, but the original version will not get a higher rank than the C tier.
Imagine if they remake Eternal Star and turn it into an iron hopping board.
Not funny. Different map.
DK's Jungle Adventure is the first board of the game and one of the simplest Mario Party boards you can ask for. You have a square-based layout with some split paths and not too many obstacles. Womps block some pathways, and to pass them, you have to pay some coins. And for some event spaces, if you land on them, a boulder will roll down a hill and force you to go back to the start. Some doors can't be passed if you don't have at least 20 coins. Overall, this is a very simple board, and that simplicity is the main problem. Yes, at least pretty much nothing truly frustrating happens, but that's at the cost of making the board really boring. Most of the time, while you aren't just going with the flow, you aren't strategizing either, since most of the times you have split paths, they basically offer the same option. Your choice will just depend on where the star is. In the end, just like Yoshi's Tropical Island, this board is just dog. There's nothing particularly memorable about it. The split paths are short, so in the end, you barely miss out on anything. And this isn't improved by the fact that the developers put one of the two Boos in a place where everyone will pass by him, which completely ruins the appeal of having the other one on the split path section. On the first half of the board, there is a straightaway with several split paths, and there are two ones that you pass one after the other. If the first one keeps walking the path to the north section of the board and you can't get enough coins to win, which can happen in cases of bad luck, well then get ready to loop this zone over and over again until you get those damn 10 coins.
You just got Mario Party.
Even the border section is handled poorly. If you land on any of the event space that trigger the gimmick, the boulder will chase anyone who is in its way, not just you, forcing all of them to go back to the start. Even though I'm aware it's here to spice things up with this board, forcing all the players to go back to the start without anyone being able to control it is just way too punishing, especially for the first board of the game, since it can mean a lot of progress just going to waste, which is incredibly frustrating, especially on the light play mode. Chilly Waters from Mario Party 3 also had a similar gimmick with the snowballs, but it was done way better since there weren't as many event spaces, and with good timing you could easily avoid the snowball by pressing the A button if this event was triggered. Plus, instead of going back to the start, you were just forced to move a couple of spaces back, which at worst would waste you 2 turns. Overall, DK's Jungle Adventure sadly feels like a vegan version of Chilly Waters. Without items, it's just boring, and while it isn't frustrating, I can't say I would pee my pants of excitement if this board came back. Thankfully, we're now on the B tier board, the boards that I actually like. Not amazing boards, but I usually have a pretty fun time on them.
Heaven? Oh, hell.
I gotta say, I was really scared when I first saw the main gimmick of this board on a YouTube video. That gimmick is that the board is mostly straightforward with some split paths, and at the end, Toad or Bowser awaits for you. One of them is at one of the 2 sides of the castle, which is regularly spinning. Toad gives you the star for 20 coins, while Bowser gives you a fake star that doesn't do anything and steals 40 coins from you. When someone visits Toad or Bowser or lands on an event space, the castle spins, leaving room for the other character. And after visiting Toad or Bowser, the player will be sent back to the start of the board. I thought it was going to be a luck-based board where you just go with the flow and hope for the best, especially after the horror that was the previous straightforward board, Peach's Birthday Cake. But as it turns out, this board was actually pretty good. What allows it to be more strategic is the good amount of split paths. This time, the developers actually chose what would be on the split paths thoroughly. For example, the first ones. One of the paths is very short, but the longer one has Boo, so you may want to take a detour to steal some coins or a star, even if Toad is at the end of the road right now. Plus, the shorter path has an event space, so you might want to consider that as well. You actually have to choose the path you want to take thoroughly, depending on where your opponents are and who's on the castle right now. It's a board where I actually felt like I had to think to win the game, and not just count on the minigames and luck. And even though it's not as important, the atmosphere of the board is just incredible. The sea with a couple of islands under it, the clouds surrounding the board, the tower majestically posing at the top, and especially the beautiful and relaxing music. This theme is so pretty and beautiful, but yet calm and relaxing that you can listen to it at any moment of the day and honestly have all your worries fade away.
Okay, there's a cosmic element playing in my hair. Now it looks like diamond dandruff, and Kenny's calling me Dee. Who cares? I have the Mario's Rainbow Castle music playing in my ears anyway. No need to worry.
This board feels a bit more laid back and emotional compared to the generally chaotic and energetic atmosphere of this game, which is always a nice contrast. The board isn't higher nor in A tier because since there are no items, the games end up being the same, and that kinda ruins the strategy. Plus, Bowser is still a bit too punishing. I don't think he should steal 40 coins. It's way too much when you take into account the fact it's 2 times the price of a star. I think he should just steal 20 coins instead. But otherwise, this board is surprisingly fun to play, with a good amount of split paths, pure agency, and that stellar atmosphere. If it wasn't a Mario Party game with items, it would surely be A tier.
Well, Nintendo granted your wish.
We need to kick some
Bowser!
butt.
This might surprise you. Bowser's Magma Mountain, one of the most hated and punishing boards in the original Mario Party, almost managed to be the best board in this game. This is a very straightforward board, no true split paths. Once again, the only true split path section doesn't let you choose where you go, it's determined by luck. Ranking this board so high might seem contradictory because I criticized Peach's birthday cake for that, but the difference with this board is that when a brutal luck-based event occurs, it will be unfair to everyone, not just you. When you land on an event space, all the blue spaces become red for 2 turns, and once again, everyone is going to lose coins, so it's less frustrating most of the time. Plus, the main gimmick of this board adds more player agency. This is the betting bridge gimmick. This board has some section where you'll be able to choose if you want to bet 10 coins to determine if you'll take a shortcut. If you win, you can take that shortcut after paying the 10 coins. If you lose, you'll pay the 10 coins without being able to take the shortcut. This mechanic works because it gives a lot of room for player agency. You can choose to play it safe and take the longer route, or take the risk of paying for nothing and bet. The only betting bridge where it's not up to you is the one at the top. This one will either take you to Boo or Bowser. Boo functions normally, but Bowser makes another bet to decide if he'll steal stars or coins from you. This could have been done poorly, but fortunately, if you calculate well, the chances of losing a star in this section is only 1 chance out of 4, and even then, you can skip this section by taking this betting bridge. Yes, the board can become boring because there are no traditional split paths, but other than that, it's actually fun and engaging to play with all the player agency added by all those betting bridges. I really didn't expect to see that many people hate this board because it's literally Peach's birthday cake done right.
That's way past cool.
To be honest, when I took a first glance at every board in the game, I was expecting Luigi's Engine Room to be the best one. And well, it did not disappoint. This is easily the best, the most strategic, and one of the most complex boards in the whole game. The board is centered around gates. There are 2 sets of gates, red gates and blue gates. One set opens while the other closes during each turn. That seems like more luck out of your control at first, but this board balances its lack of items surprisingly well. There are robots you can bribe to make both sets open and close respectively, and the board has a good amount of split paths, including some that don't have doors. The board is big enough to be complex and strategic, but also small enough for the players to memorize the layout easily. And if the lock mechanics still end up being problematic, well, the developers also had this in mind. They added some detours you can easily take if a closed gate prevents you from getting the star. There are still some problematic elements with this board, like the second set of gates that should honestly not be here, or Boo, who is once again in a place everyone will pass by, which totally breaks the economy, but overall, these issues aren't too problematic to make the board fun. In general, Luigi's Engine Room really feels like a preview of what the boards in the next Mario Party games will be, with more strategy and better balance in luck-based elements.
And yet, even the best board in Mario Party 1 is still a diet version of another board you'll find in another Mario Party game. How do you manage that?
Sadly, that's a common thing with Mario Party 1. Most of its board concepts have been done better in other games, especially since the OG Mario Party doesn't have an item system. Mario's Rainbow Castle is a lesser version of Castaway Bay from Mario Party 6. Eternal Star is a lesser version of King Boo's Haunted Hideaway from Mario Party 8. DK's Jungle Adventure is a lesser version of Chi Waters from Mario Party 3. And Luigi's Engine Room, despite being the best board in the original Mario Party, is still a lesser version of Woody Woods from Mario Party 3. But at least, Luigi's Engine Room has enough strategy to be engaging, while not being so up-paced to end up raging the entire game. For me, it's the board that's managed to find the best balance between luck and skill, and for this reason, despite being a diet Woody Woods, it's still the best Mario Party 1 board. We're already at the end of this ranking, so before I end the video, I'm gonna say what I think of Mario Party 1.
Oh yeah, I already predict what you were gonna say. It's not that good, but since it's the first game, it's the GOAT. Yay!
Well, I'm gonna throw a curveball and say that this time, the first game syndrome excuse doesn't work. Sure, Hudson Soft didn't quite figure out what they wanted to do with the series, and for a first attempt, it's not that bad. But there are still quite a lot of things that were already really bad at the time, and I think the nostalgia, combined with the first game syndrome excuse, blinds a few people when it comes to their opinion about this game, because even for its time, it still comes with a lot of problems. 2 of the boards are literally broken, and even the 3 B-tier ones still have many annoying luck-based moments that ruin the strategizing, and as a result, most of the time, when I'm not frustrated, I'm just bored. As for the mini-games, they were mostly alright, with some really fun ones like Shy Guy Says, where you have to raise the same fly as Shy Guy, which ends up being surprisingly tense. Platform Peril, where you have to jump from platform to platform while watching out for the pyramid-shaped obstacles, or Mushroom Mix-Up, a more chaotic one where the mushrooms are sinking, and you should get on the only one that is still floating. But there are also unbalanced, luck-based, or boring minigames like Bash and Cash, where the player in the Bowser suit can't win coins and can just feed the other players, hoping not to lose the coins he already has. Pipe Maze, where just only one player has control over what's going to happen, or even the rotating control stick minigames, where you just rotate the control stick as fast as you can and hope for a bit of luck. But despite that, this game deserves all of our respect. It was the first game to launch the genius idea that would shape most party games that would follow, a combination of board games and minigames. Before that, most party games were as simple as ever, just a succession of minigames that rarely managed to be something else than quick time events, with a theme that was generally oriented towards sports, that became quite repetitive. In these regards, Mario Party 1 is a bit like the Super Mario Kart of Mario Party, because both games defined what their own genre should be, but still haven't aged well. Although I'd argue Super Mario Kart is still a really fun experience in 2024 and gets way too much crap from the Mario Kart community on YouTube. So while I can't say the first game syndrome is an excuse for Mario Party 1 that works, I'd still give all of my respect to this game for giving a new direction to follow for the party game genre and starting one of my favorite game series of all time. For that, I say thank you, Mario Party 1. This video is over. Since I didn't really like Mario Party 1, it was really hard to play it, especially with that insane 100 star fee that was necessary to unlock Eternal Star, but I still loved writing it and discovering this game. This time, I decided to do something different to summarize my opinions in a better way, so I took notes on each board after completing them, and I think I'm gonna do this every time my videos showcase my opinions on something. Because writing the script ended up being way easier thanks to this. Next up is Mario Party 2, which introduced the item system and is probably gonna give us better boards. But for now, I hope you enjoyed this ranking of Mario Party 1 sports. Feel free to give me your ranking of Mario Party 1 sports or your opinion on this first installment for the series. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Goodbye!
Okay, so there's a puzzle in the mine in my hair, and Kenny's calling me. Why am I making this? Why am I?